Hello, and welcome to another episode on the Unbalanced Pedestal podcast. My name is Tina Marie, your host, and today I have a lovely guest who I've met not too long ago, who is actually in one of my circles. And it's something that we also talked about in previous podcasts about who's in your environment. And I would like to introduce you to Mo, and she will let you know who she is and how she's aspiring to be bigger.
Hey, hey, y'all. I'm Coach Mo. I'm a women's empowerment coach. I'm the founder of Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger, and of the vast community, a women's community that I have. Um, and what I do is I empower healing women to rework their mindset and break through repetitive cycles uh, through one-on-one and group coaching, so that they can live the best life that they want to live.
Yes.
That's me.
And we had, a conversation not too long ago about this strong woman needing help, right? And then, talked about a couple things and how the younger generation, younger women, how they would be able to seek out that help and in different various communities that they're in or organizations, and your one of your platforms actually does that, right?
Yeah, I work. I right now I'm working with women, and I'm building a course to help younger girls through working with these women, just to build their self esteem, help them build healthy boundaries. I think that's one of the biggest things that us as younger women and young girls, young women, we really struggle with building healthy boundaries. And I think that just derives from everybody doesn't have a low self-esteem. Everybody doesn't have low self-confidence. Everybody doesn't have that. Some people are really brought up with great esteem, and they taught by their parents or their elders around them, their worth. But that doesn't mean they have healthy boundaries. They don't want to know when to say no. They don't know that saying yes to every little thing is saying no to yourself. So you have to know what you're saying yes to. Because if you're saying yes to one thing, you're definitely saying no to something else. You have to know which one. So healthy boundaries is really important to teach young women, I believe, because that's the biggest thing that we're missing as a whole in our societies across the world. It's not just here, but you know,
Oh my god,
yeah.
absolutely. Healthy boundaries. When I first started my coaching and my business, just in general, that was like my platform, like healthy boundaries, because for me, I didn't know what boundaries were. I didn't know that was a thing. And so when I say I didn't know that was a thing, meaning I was a yes ma'am. Sure, I'll do this. Sure, I'll help you. And not realizing that all of those yeses, that was depleting me. And then when it was time for me to do something for myself, I will feel too tired to do it. And on top of it, when I did take the time out for myself, if I said no to someone or I said I just can't do it, they'll get upset because I can't help them, although I have no gas left in the tank.
Yeah, and they were used to using you up. And then also it's that guilt. Sometimes you feel guilty for not helping when you know you can't anyway. And that's honestly, that's just it's about having reality. Reality is you are not God and you cannot help everyone. And if you are on E, you are not being helpful to them. You're actually hurting them and yourself. So you have to have healthy boundaries so you can really actually be a help to the people that you're helping. And then on top of that, for me, I didn't have healthy boundaries either. Um, I wasn't so worried about people being upset if I didn't tell them yes. It wasn't that. It was just more like I just thought like everybody was the same. So if I'm nice, then nice people are the people who are gonna be attracted to me and they're gonna be nice. And that was not the truth. So having healthy boundaries also helps you, be mindful of your surroundings and know, like, I'm not saying that you have to suspect that everyone is not good, but I'm saying that everyone is not good. And
Hmm.
so you have to have healthy boundaries to help you differentiate who's who in your life.
That is well said, because one thing you touched on that a lot of people are have an issue with, of overcoming or realizing that if they say no, they get a guilt trip. They're not seen as nice anymore. They're seen as the mean person. They're not helpful. They are selfish. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
You can't help, and then the remarks that go along with it, which is manipulation,
Mhm.
that goes along with you just even stand up for yourself, like even a second to make you
Right.
feel bad. And within our community alone, you know, we're, African American women, we both live in a city.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
And, just those adversities, just alone, and having to seen as we have to please others before we
Yeah.
even can please ourselves, you
Yeah.
know?
And I don't know if you come from a family who is from like the islands or from Africa or something like that, but that's even that's that's tough too, coming from that type of family, because I know with my father being from Africa, they are, in pun intended, they are dirt poor. My father's from the deserts of Africa. So it's sand everywhere. There is no money to be made. You can't even, you know, till the ground. You can't even make a garden so that you can sell fruit there. It's date trees and baobab trees and is everything dry is there. Yeah, did it dry and ashy there. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing to sell. It feels like it's no fruit, literally, for all their hard work. Cattle and that's all they have. And so sometimes if you have a family that's from there, they can make you feel guilty. I know my father deals with that. They make you feel guilty, kind of like survivor's remorse. Like you got out of that, but he has to work his bones off to help send them money, to help send them things to, you know, they were just as able-bodied as him their
Yeah.
whole life, but they didn't make the choices that he made. But on top of that, him raising me, um, even though he doesn't like the feeling, he kind of um try to indoctrinate the thought of, like, this is your family, you gotta take care of, like, hold up, because you told me your nephew, a big man,
Mhm.
told you and asked you for money. That's a man. I
Yeah.
have to take care of him. You know what I'm saying? A man with children and a whole wife. I don't have no husband. I don't have no. He
Yeah.
better get his money right. He better get himself together so he can take care of that. So
Mhm.
I think that when you from the city, there are people who will try to take advantage of you here because it's fast paced, but also your own family. When you have a family who's from a foreign place, sometimes they don't have that boundary because they didn't grow up in a place where they could survive if they didn't share with each other. If they had those tight those heavy boundaries, but no, you can't come over here and take my food. You can't take the last of my rice because somebody was starved.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it is tough. It is tough too. But you have to build those healthy boundaries. We're not there anymore. We can afford to say no.
Yeah.
'Cause if I say no, I can help you later. I really could. I can help you better later.
Yes, you just brought me back to, because my family's from the Caribbean.
Hmm.
So I totally understand, even when my grandmother, when she was alive,
Hmm.
and my mom sending, the barrel. you know,
We just sound out a
down,
barrel. We
down
just
the
sounded straight out
barrel.
a barrel, yep.
Because I remember there's this one, not to go off topic, but I remember this one time I was 11 and my cousin and I were both from, here in New York. We would go down there every summer for like the whole summer, which was childhood memories.
Right, right, right.
No AC, mosquitoes was eating us up, that kind of
Mhm.
thing. And I remember we was looking at I don't know, Nintendo, which one is it? I forgot which one. It was one of the Nintendos. It's not the 8-bit, but I think it was like the 16-bit. And
I don't know.
so yeah, I forgot what it's called, but one of the second generation Nintendo. It was
Okay.
like literally, I think like $100, $200 more than the US.
Mhm.
Now at that time,
Wow.
I don't understand, taxes and tariffs and all that stuff like that. But I understand
Yeah.
why people from the U.S. send down provisions and barrels and all these things because it's much cheaper. But going to what you said, also the guilt trip
Mhm.
because you, an individual will make it to the states wherever that's at, Florida, New York, along the East Coast,
Mhm.
and most of them come up here, like my mom, to be a nurse, registered nurse. That's like the chosen field, and
Mhm.
you're expected to send money back home, because you're making more, although you're trying to survive here yourself.
Yep. Yep, it is like that. So there's so many different factors when it comes to healthy boundaries, and I just know that there are certain things, certain cultures, certain reasons why we might have hard time identifying with being okay with saying no and building healthy boundaries. Because healthy boundaries is not only using no. You can say yes, but like at like 3 times. 3 times I can help you with this. That's all I got for you. Not every single time, no matter what. Like you know what I'm saying. You don't only have to say no to build healthy boundaries, but healthy boundaries is really about using your intuition, knowing who you can trust, and also for the people who deal with the families who are used to needing each other beyond. There's no private privacy. There's no space
Yeah.
in the need. Just just saying, all right, back up a little bit. I'm still, we're still family, but you know,
And that's
you can't
basic.
take my shoes home. No, we are not living back home anymore. You cannot take my shoes out my bag and keep them. I paid for them. Buy
Yeah.
your shoes. Stuff like that. Stuff like that.
Oh my god. I can say definitely. I never had that. Um, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. I know some people whose parents would take like they got some new shoes growing up and they loved it and they were so happy and one day they came home and it's not there no more and they're like, "Oh, because your cousin I heard they didn't have no shoes." Like, "But the new Nikes, come on."
Wow. The new,
you
yeah.
know. And it sounds funny as us, here, but there's still if that happens to your child, I'm sure they feel violated, feel like a boundary
Like
has been
new, I'm
crossed.
like, okay, how about use the other pair that I
Yeah,
was
use the other
using? You
one.
really need some shoes.
You just bought me new shoes, so you know I had shoes before. Why you ain't
Yeah,
sending the shoes from before?
exactly.
Crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I was just thinking of the different I because sometimes people like to give themselves I'm gonna say it like this because it does sound harsh, but it's the truth. Sometimes people like to give themselves excuses of why they can't do certain things. And it's just the truth is we know their situations, things that life is situational, but that doesn't mean that the laws and certain principles don't need to stand. Because without them, we'd all be in a frenzy. So you gotta stand up for yourself. You gotta have healthy boundaries,
Yes,
no matter what your circumstances are.
yes. And then going along with that, for me, and I'm not sure how many viewers or listeners can relate to this, or even you. It's going along with the boundaries and having the confidence to have those boundaries.
Mm.
Because for me, from having no boundaries to learning what they are and then having the confidence to implement them.
Yeah.
just to start, you know, and like you said, not even though no is a full sentence, and sometimes our answers may not be a no form, or maybe in other forms we will say no, but just to have that confidence in the beginning for those people who are just, what if they yell at me? What if they stop talking
Mhm.
to me? What if they just, well, talking ghosting, right? Or they just do something else that
Yeah.
can be harm.
Yeah.
I know like you work with like a lot of women, right? Who have that in your community where they just like, because I know for me, it was hard for me in the beginning because I was just, again, want to be nice, but, tragedy happened in my family. And that's what was my pivotal moment where I'm just like, we ain't doing this no more. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, who are you and what you do with Tina? I was like,
Mhm.
that girl gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the truth is you have to be real with yourself. And if you're not real with yourself, life gonna be real with you.
Hmm.
And life does not have, life is heavy handed.
Yeah.
It'll tear you up. It'll beat your butt. So you want to be real with yourself because you will show yourself grace before life will. It's gonna tear you up. So um that's really what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it is. Sometimes it does take for really tough things to happen for people to realize, oh, I gotta shape up or else I'm gonna be, I'm never gonna be able to live the life that I wanna live. But then also there's some people who hear us speaking right now and say, oh, this is a good message. I'm gonna take this. So for those people who hear us speaking about it, do take this message and say, I'm saying, put yourself alone, whether it's a few minutes a day, an hour a day, give yourself alone time. Really speak to yourself. Really understand who you are. You don't even know who you are yet. How are you helping other people be who they are? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you feel like you know who you are, but you scared to be called the bad guy by somebody, or you scared that if you don't do what they want, they're gonna leave you. But to that
Mhm.
I say, I want you to get this in your spirit. I want this phrase to be taste good to you. Good riddance. Get gone. I want you to be happy with that feeling.
Yeah.
Feel the joy in knowing that if a person is not for you and you say to them, I have a boundary and you are not allowed to cross it, and they leave or they don't like it, you are now free of them.
Yes. And they're not meant for you to be in
They
your
were
life.
not meant for you and they were only sucking you dry anyway.
Yeah.
Imagine tomorrow waking up and not dealing with the person who's always pulling from you, pulling from you, pulling from you. Wouldn't that be freeing?
It
How
is
much
because I
energy
went through
would you
that.
have? Yeah, you would have so much
Whew.
energy by the end of the
Yeah.
next day that you wouldn't even know what to do with all that energy. You know how
Mhm.
productive you'd be? You'd probably be rich by the end of the month. You know what I'm saying? Think of the joys that you acquire by really taking that time to yourself, getting to know who you are, and standing on your foundation that you have built for yourself. Stand up for yourself. There's nothing, no better feeling. Being called a nice person doesn't feel better than standing up for yourself. Having people around who need you doesn't feel better than standing up for yourself. Nothing feels better than standing up for yourself. Nothing. Try it.
And you helping those people, being nice to them, giving the shirt off your back and your new shoes, and they still talk bad about you.
Okay. And walking in your new shoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And
coming
you
back for
know,
more.
right. And you know you at 7.5 and you seen a big old foot. They toe hurt. You can't even fix this foot. You talk about me. Yes, but all jokes aside, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
You can never make someone else happy who's not happy with their own life. And they wouldn't be asking you for so much if they were working hard on themselves. They wouldn't have time to ask for you to help them with something. That's really how it is. You don't see yourself, and this I'm really speaking to the person who has a hard time with boundaries. You don't
Mhm.
see yourself asking people like how people is asking you. You know why? Because you just want a minute to think about what you want. You can't
Yes.
even think about what you want to ask for. And
Yes.
when you think about what you want to ask for, you know you could do it yourself. You figure out, oh, I can do this myself. You're stronger than all of that.
Mhm.
You know, and they if they would sit down and think about it to do it for themselves, they would notice that too. So they're not even trying; they're just taking from you. They're
Oh
not even
yeah.
trying.
Yes. And then the last thing that I want to touch on, I mean, we can go on and on, but what you touched on too is where they're asking you for help, right? Because they know you are the person that will just freely give the help. But when it's time for you to ask for help from them, they're nowhere to be found.
Absolutely. A lot of w- a lot of young girls go through this, and they go through it in the form of relationship.
Mm,
They find somebody and they want to share their love with them, um, but they don't get the same degree of openness of share,
yeah,
and it affects how they see life, how they see themselves, and how they see uh, how they should go forward in life. And sometimes they try to give more because they think if they give more, they'll get more. Really, that's something that happens to young ladies, and sometimes you just lose yourself
oh
and you
yeah,
find yourself turn around 40, 50, and this is the truth about it. You have a drinking problem.
oh yeah,
You haven't taken care of your body. You eating, or you to the point of sickness, and
mhm,
or you have children and you haven't found a way to build character, confidence, and self-esteem in them because you didn't find a way to do it for yourself,
yes,
because you keep trying to give yourself to in one area where you're not getting it reciprocated. So I do I that's important to talk about too, to me, the young girls
yes,
before you get to our age, to the older age, because you know time is going to give you wisdom. If you listen, that's a different story, but time is going to give you wisdom. But
yep,
before you have any reference, you might be doing things that you have no idea how they're going to negatively affect you, and that's one of the things, really giving of yourself and not getting anything reciprocated.
hmm, that's
Yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful because, and the thing with the wisdom part, each experience, it's a learning experience, right?
Mhm.
And depending on how that person takes that experience, are they going to, the first time we may not know, right? Our bad. Second time, we may duplicate it, we may not pay attention. Okay, but the third time it's like, all right, how many times, or four, five, six, seven, 30 times, the same person, they've been through that experience, they have that knowledge, but do they choose to correct themselves? And, based on what they've known, what they've seen, the reactions. And like for young women, sometimes if they start off in a bad relationship, and I say bad meaning it could be verbally abusive, it could be physically abusive, it could be anything else, sexual abuse. And if they're seeking out that love and they
It
think,
could be no, I'm sorry for even cutting you off, but it could be not even that it's abusive. It could be that you're with a person who's immature and they
mm,
don't know how to reciprocate what you're giving, or you've given your body and then they ghosted you.
yes,
For the first time ever in your life, you gave your body to somebody and then they treated you as if you have been doing this,
mm,
transacting this for years.
yes,
That's traumatic.
yeah, that is, that is so traumatic. And like all of that, sometimes depending on the person, if how young they are, they think that's normal
Yep.
growing up.
Take it as just a fact of life.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important for us, that's the one thing that we were talking about. It's important for us as elders, and it's important for young women to know to find the elders in
Mhm.
their community who can really feed and pour into them. Because as young women, we really don't have a point of reference. I know we don't want to hear what these elders are saying. I know we want to hear what our mom is saying. She just
Mhm.
telling us study. Our dad is like, you better stay away from them boys. That's not realistic. You know what I'm saying? What
Yeah.
the real is you gonna like him, he gonna like you, and you might find yourself in a situation. But find some real good people to be able to talk to about where you are and let them share their experiences with you. For
Yes.
sure, I grew up in a house where ain't no talk about no boyfriend. I am 37 years old right now. I wish I would call my dad and talk about, I think I want a boyfriend. He'd be like, oh, what? You American people are sinners. Like, he don't want to hear that. That's not even his vocabulary. Oh, forget about it.
Your husband,
Your husband. He's like,
boyfriend.
how am I gonna get one?
Yeah.
So you do want to speak to people who are gonna share their story. My story was I came outside of my house. You know, I came outside of my house and went to college. I was the girl who was not outside, and then I got myself a boyfriend. I was confused. I was like, so so some of y'all boys are me? Like, whoa, what is going on here? My father was never like this to my mom. I didn't
Mhm.
even know cheating is cheating. I never even understood the concept of it until it happened to me.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Wild,
Yes.
wild. We need to be able to talk to our elders. The young girls need to be able to talk to their elders, really know what's happening
Mhm.
outside so you are prepared. Not that your feelings won't ever get hurt. Of course they will. You don't like somebody and they're not gonna treat you the way you wanted to be treated, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But really finding those people wherever you feel like is important. I think, if you go to church, find a good elder there. There are women like us who want to coach and want to help,
Mhm.
you know, everyday women who want to help. Find those people,
Yes.
all of that. All of that I think is important.
Yes. You bring it back like for me, because I have a teenage daughter,
Mhm,
and so within the last, I'll say, 3 years, slowly I've been sharing my experiences with her
mhm,
based on my previous experience with my previous employer, as far as just being a people pleaser, not having boundaries. And so I would share with not just her, and also I have an older son. He's going to be 21 this year.
praise
But
his man. Y'all looking
I'm
at
just
her, so
saying
she
now,
was
there's
about
like,
25, right? See, grown men. That's crazy. Yes.
so I share with them my experiences because I did not want the same thing to happen to them. Because I
Mhm,
opened up that conversation. And even with my daughter, the conversation is obviously going to be different from, my son. And with her, she's in a world of everything technology. She has access to more things than we ever had growing up. We had the
true.
library, you know, going to the index, looking for,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she has like
And like I said, I was stuck in the house. If my father didn't feel like going outside, I wasn't going to the library either. He was like, the library? You got books here. I'm not going outside today. Like, can I just go by myself? Yourself? You American kids. I heard that all my whole life. Like, oh, oh. So yeah,
so there's like
yeah,
even
that's what we had.
yeah. So like now, for the last, I don't know, 10 years, how technology and different platforms are showing more sexual pictures and film, and the ratings of TV have changed, all
Yeah.
these things. And, we have these conversations and where she's open enough to say certain things to me without being afraid. And that's another thing too, like how you're going to say, for young women, when we say young women, this is, any woman who is in their teens,
Yeah.
you know, early 20s, you're feeling vulnerable, you're confused, find someone that you connect with.
Even
You
preteens,
know?
if you are 13, if you are 12, and you are because these
Mhm.
kids are feeling feelings,
Yes.
okay? These kids are feeling feelings, and they're making decisions about their lifestyle that young.
Mhm.
You need to talk to somebody, you should talk to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I bring my daughter up because she's I never had this conversation at all
Mhm,
with my mom. I'm now having this conversation kind of a little bit more open about my mom's childhood. My mom's in her 70s.
mhm,
I'm not having these conversations with her because she's now more open up because she's has a lot of childhood trauma that
mm,
obviously, generational curses, generational trauma that just keeps passing on, passing on, passing on, right?
right.
And so I've dealt with mine at an early age, thank God, and still
Mhm,
dealing with it. We're
yeah,
all not completely healed, but I recognize what my trauma is and what trauma I pass on to my kids and how I'm letting them know, okay, this was not cool when this happened. Um, this was not cool when that happened, but there's still time to correct it within the relationship between the parents, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, or whoever it is, and to again be mindful of, like you said, who's in your space, who you have to protect yourself against boundaries. Because even though we have, some people may have a lot of family members or not too many, depending on what their that household is made up of, and not every person that you come in contact with you're able to share. And that's another thing too, not to be too naive of
oh,
thinking
yeah,
I tell this person my secrets, I love them, or they're my new best friend, and then that new best friend or person or who that that boyfriend or girlfriend may just tell everyone your secrets. That's also a boundary.
very important to know who you are. Very important to know who you are before you start explaining things to other people.
Hmm.
Because when you understand who you are as a human being, and understand if a child is looking at an adult, they don't see us as a human. They see us as a superhuman. They do. They don't even have to we don't even have to be their parent. They see us as superhuman. But we're all still that child still trying to figure it out the same. We're all the same human. Um but for sure, the more you get to understand yourself, the more you get to understand that there are certain people that you can talk to and certain people you can't. And if you find out that you spoke to somebody who you can't trust, don't keep speaking to them
Yeah.
about it. Find someone else to speak to about it.
And that's what
Because that happens. You can't just avoid it. You never know. You never know. You do have to take that chance in that way.
yeah.
Being open is important.
Yeah.
Being open is important. Not just to anybody, but yes, to the right people. But you might find somebody who might find it fun to make fun of you behind your back, but that doesn't make you a bad person for sharing. That makes them a person who is untrustworthy.
And insecure.
Mhm.
Because that's one thing that a lot of young women don't realize, that they can, I would say, it's interesting when you say know yourself, right? Because when you're that young, preteen, teen, in the 20s, 30s, heck, people who older still don't know themselves, right? The immature, right?
Yeah.
Um, I was what the other sex. No,
They be about
guys.
80 getting it together. Like, oh, okay. Welcome. Welcome to
You
conversation.
still on those streets? Okay.
Right. Ain't no street left for you. You still running. Can't even run. You ain't got no knee cartilage. Can't even run and you still running. It's crazy. It's crazy.
But but going back to what you're saying, knowing yourself and just having those people that's around you who they see something in you that you don't see in yourself, but they recognize your energy, your spark, your light, and they will say so many things to run your name through the mud, talk bad about you, get everyone in the community to be against you, all because one, you're a nice person, you have good grades, you keep to yourself because they're insecure. And that's another thing that young women have to watch out for.
Yeah.
Those other insecure women. And that's
Yeah.
something that I've dealt with um, growing up, and in my 20s, my 30s, I'm a naturally given person. But when people see that, they don't like that for some reason. They think you're better than them. And it's not the case. I'm giving you from my heart. I'm not
And
doing it just because I want something from you. I'm just doing it
yeah,
generally because I want to.
I like that you said that too. They think you're better than them because they like to say they think that you think you better than them. But what it is you think I'm better than you.
Hmm.
And it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
So I mean, the only thing a young person can do is hear people like us say, it is not you, it is them.
Yep.
They are the person who has something wrong with them.
Hmm.
Believe us. We
Yes.
have lived life long enough to
Yes.
understand that you are the good person, but
Hmm.
they think you're better than them and they are jealous.
Hmm.
Not you think you're better than them. You
Yeah.
know you're not better than anyone. You know we're all equal, but you have a talent, you have a blessing, and you're making good use of it.
Hmm.
And it's simple. You are doing your job, you're doing the right thing, and all you can do in this time, even though people are being against you, is be consistent because
Hmm.
you're going to find your person.
Yes.
You're going to find your person who believes in you. And then because they know your real character,
Hmm.
they will have your back. Once you get that person, because if you feel like you can't be that person all in one, some of us a little rough, right? So I feel like my person a little bit was, was me, you know, and I'm gonna fight for myself, okay?
Yeah.
I am, but everybody doesn't do that. But when you find that person, you will realize that that person is gonna have your back, and they're gonna help you fight for yourself. They're gonna have your back when you tell them that's not my problem, that's your problem. You don't like yourself, and your friend is gonna be like,
Or two
behind you.
snaps in a circle. Remember that?
Yep. You're gonna feel good. You're gonna feel good about your day because you're gonna be able to know you stood up for yourself. It keeps all coming back to it. That's when my confidence lies, is when I really advocate for myself, stand up for myself. I know that I can trust myself more and more. The more I stand up for myself, I trust myself more and more and more. And I can be strong when people are trying to uh down my character or make others doubt me. You
Yeah.
know, that's the only thing that makes me strong. So yes, you might be young and you might not have that yet, but just hear us because it's coming and
Hmm.
hear what we're saying. Stay consistent. Keep doing the right thing because you don't have the problem, they do.
Yes. And then going back to tying in when when your person, right, comes along, or the people in general in your life that you need to be in.
Mhm.
But the foundation of this whole entire message is, yes, knowing yourself, having confidence in yourself, that self confidence, knowing your self worth, loving yourself, because you can have
Mm,
some women, oh my gosh, and I'm just throwing them out there. This is not a statistic, but some women can have like 100, literally 100 relationships, looking for love, trying to fill that void that's within them.
yeah.
But the reason
True.
why they're trying to fill that because they haven't loved themselves yet. So they're seeking someone. And when that person, that male or female, comes along, you're like, oh, this person's gonna love me. But they can only love you for so much. They can't
Mhm.
fill that void. They can never fill that void. And
Yeah.
that's where you're going back to knowing yourself. And when you have that deep love for yourself, when you know yourself, and when you do find that person, it just makes you complete because you're half full, right? Like say using the glass metaphor, you're half full with your love, your self-love, and then the other person comes in and pours in the rest. And you have one complete glass. Not
Mhm.
your glass is empty and then you want them to pour all of themselves into you.
Yeah, then you
That's when they
sucking somebody else dry.
exhausted.
Mhm. Yeah,
And then they're gonna be
absolutely.
gone real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. And then you feel even more dry. Your cup feels even more depleted. You feel like your glass is broken when they
Mhm.
say, "Ah, you too much."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true because you really had to show you really were supposed to be showing yourself love first.
Mhm.
That's how you really would have recognized that they were a loving person. If
Yeah.
you know how to show love, then you know what love looks like. That's when when your person is around. So you do have to love yourself. You do.
Yeah.
For me, I think I was kind of I'm a lot of us women are raised by women only, right? And we don't get that dad figure or that male figure around us. But I was raised by my dad, and it's something about men who just feel a lot of men who feel like you must be crazy if you think I don't think I'm all of that. Something in men. They could just look like gremlins. They could be the worst guy ever. And there's something about their self love. Like they preserve that for themselves. And why I say that is because my dad would look at me crazy like, so what you're trying to say is you think that in the world of all these people that you don't come first before all these people for yourself? Preposterous.
Yeah.
Preposterous. But women, we kind of have a different approach at life.
Mm. Yeah.
So for me being raised by my dad, I really did get that kind of like, you can't tell me I'm pretty and then I believe it. I know I came here pretty.
Yes.
Boo-boo. So that doesn't impress me. Thanks. I know. You
Yeah.
lucky I said thanks. I know. Or
Mhm.
whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're a strong person. I know.
Yeah.
What happens now? You know, and it's not a slander at anyone else. I just noticed that, you know, as women we do approach life a little differently. But take it from a daddy's girl, a girl who was raised by her dad, you know, sometimes we gotta think to ourselves, you must be crazy if you don't think you the flyest out here. You gotta be crazy. Something wrong on. Look at yourself in the mirror
Yeah.
and say, couldn't
Yeah.
couldn't love nobody better than you. I don't have time to love nobody until I love you. Look at
Mhm.
yourself in the mirror and say that. Because they
Every
must be
morning.
crazy.
Every
Yeah.
morning before you leave the house.
Yeah, they must be crazy if they think you gonna love them before you love you. You
Yeah.
have to. It's something about men. They really got that in their head. They really do. That's why a lot of men they won't settle. A lot of women we will settle in a
Mm.
relationship with a person who's not for us. But a lot of men, man, they will be 70 years old. Finally get them a pretty young thing and say, yeah, this is what I've been waiting for my whole life because I knew I didn't have to settle. They be for real. They be serious about that thing.
Yeah.
So keep that in your head. Don't settle. Don't settle. Um, and really put yourself first. That's really important. Really put yourself first.
Exactly. 100%. 100%. Self-love, confidence, boundaries, and, asking for that help, in your community,
Yeah.
you know, it's so important, and we're because both of us, we're both life coaches and we're like in the same trajectory of breaking these generational curses of having to repeat, repeat, repeat because we, as African Americans, we've been on, the United States for how many years? And the same thing that keeps happening in different states, different boroughs, different vicinities of the United States. And it's not getting better. For some, yes, but it's just repeating itself. And, it's so important to have these conversations, with as many, young women. We tell one young woman and then they'll tell someone else and they start those conversations, in the different groups. And
Yep.
for me, it's I never got any of that. And
Mhm.
I had to learn the hard way. And so I'm making sure before my daughter leaves the house that she knows, how I feel about her. I want her to make sure she knows how she feels about herself because she's very secure in herself. She's like,
Yes.
she tells me her boundaries. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm
Yes. Love
not
it.
doing that. I don't want to do that.
I love to hear young women be like,
I don't want to do that.
I would not. Are you
No,
crazy? I like to see a young woman scoff at something. Are you crazy? Like, yes, they are crazy.
yeah.
They are crazy. They
And
lost
that's
their mind.
Yeah, and then that's one thing, for me growing up, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, though that saying, little girls should be seen and not heard. Why is that?
Yeah,
And
you have to.
on.
Ooh, yeah.
That
Ooh,
carries on. And
carries.
so you're just
Yeah.
there, quiet, taking in a lot of
Adult information that you have no reference for. You don't know how to process any of the things you're hearing, but you're
Mhm.
hearing it all, and you cannot ask questions about what you're hearing. So now you're making life decisions about the information that you don't know what to use for. That's like going into a calculus class and you haven't learned your timetables.
Yeah,
So what do I do with this?
yeah,
You want to start lining it up. That's all you're just going to start. All you're going to do is the addition and the subtraction part of, like, you don't. Yeah. So yeah, be seen and not heard. There's a difference between having well behaved children. I know people don't like the word behave sometimes, but come on, have some behavior, please.
yeah,
There's a difference between having polite uh children and having unseen children. It's a terrible. Just, it's a terrible mistake
yeah.
that a lot of us make in our culture.
Yes.
Terrible
And
mistake.
also not having the child express their own emotions and feelings,
Hmm.
which is different today. And when I say today, I don't mean it as of like right this minute, but
Hmm.
within, in this generation, I've seen the different styles of parenting where young children, they get to voice their opinions and say what is wrong with them. So, which is great, right? As long as it's respectable, which is
Yeah.
great because they get to communicate. And that's a
Yes.
huge factor, again, within our community that
Yep.
we don't know how to communicate our needs
Yep.
we, at all.
And we don't feel
It's
like we have
like,
a right.
it's like, oh, they did this to me. I'm out. That's it. It's like, no, let's talk about it.
Or
And
I take it, or I stay quiet and take it
mhm,
because I don't feel like I have a right to communicate. Like, I don't like that. I
yeah,
don't like that.
yeah,
And then when you go to work, and you work in a corporate space, and you work with people who don't look like you, they're taking care of each other. You know why? Because they're speaking up to each other.
oh
Because they're
yeah,
used to speaking up to each other. Not solely because of the color of your skin are you not getting ahead, but it's because you haven't learned to speak up.
yeah,
They also haven't been used to hearing people who are your color speak up. That's another
oh yeah,
story. That's a real issue.
yep,
But also,
yeah,
you aren't speaking up because in the home you were seen and not heard, and that's the real truth about it. That makes issue with finding a way to create healthy boundaries for yourself as well. Those old, we should do away with that. Now, you can talk to me about things as a child. You have to have respect and be polite, just like if you were an adult. You can't just, you know, have tantrums. Adults can have tantrums too. You know what I'm saying? You can't just, that's not gonna work. But yeah, express yourself. Tell me what's happening. What do
yeah,
you think? Yeah, we have to
yeah,
get comfortable with that. We have to get comfortable with that.
yeah. That's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I know we can keep going on this conversation.
Mhm.
Because like there's so many nuances that we can like, you
Yeah.
know, touch on and a few things popped up, like narcissism and all
Mhm.
those things that young women don't even know. That's
Mhm.
like a whole
And I'd be happy to come back and talk to you about those things too because important.
Yes, I have a degree.
Super important.
I have a degree, I went through nursing school, so I had a few of,
Yeah. I have a diploma, at least a
people.
certificate, at least something in there. I got it.
We should make one up. Like,
No certification. You made it.
exactly.
Real. It's
Narcissi
really real.
narcissist survival school.
Real. And some girls are going through it right now and
Yeah.
that's one of the toughest places to be. So I definitely would love to come back and talk about that, or we could talk about that on my podcast. I'd love to talk more about that because
Oh,
that is a
yes,
space where wow, wow.
definitely. I'm writing that down.
Hmm.
Yes. Yeah, that one could definitely do like a whole at least an hour on
Yeah,
that.
that's a 10-hour subject. That's a 10-year subject. Oh man,
10
such a tough place
years.
to be. Oh man, it's
I
a 10
have 20 years,
a lot of healing.
family and relationships.
Yep. Oh, that's a lot of healing needed when you deal with a narcissist. Just one. So yeah, it's real. It's real.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So I like to ask my guests um, a few questions before we end the show.
Okay.
And so the first question I have for you is tell me about at least one person who's been the most influential person in your life and how they impacted you.
Well, I mention him a lot in this podcast, and I always mention him everywhere I go. My dad.
You
uh
did.
my dad. He is the one of the most influential people in my life. Now, people who I come by and they are kind-hearted and good-spirited are also all influential to me. But my dad is one of the most influential people in my life because he just taught me how to build my character, build my. He's he is part of the first bits of my identity. You know, I lost my mom at 12 and she's still part of my identity, even though I'm 37. I've been alive without her longer than I've been alive than I was alive with her. But she's a part of my identity. But my dad
Yes.
had him this whole time.
Yes.
I've never separated from him. I've been right here with
Yeah.
him the whole time. So he's a part of my identity, and not identity because we spend time together or because I'm used to him being around, but because of who I am and how I believe in myself and how I see the world. Has to do with a lot of the character building traits that he passed down to me. So he's one of the most influential people. If you see him and me in the same place, you'd be like, oh, okay, that's the female version of him. That's the male version of her. He is one of the most influential people in my life for sure.
So beautiful.
He thinks he's cool, but he's not.
For dad to be like that in your life and have that big an impact, I will definitely say he's cool.
Yeah, he had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not too bad, yes.
Yes. The next question would be, what are the three books you recommend our to our audience and why?
Okay, so three books that I would recommend. So Mind, uh, a book for your body that also helps with your mindset and your energy and your everything is called Sacred Woman. Let me make sure I have the whole thing. Sacred Woman: A Guide to Healing the Feminine Body, Mind, and Spirit by Queen Afua. And the reason why that book is because it really helped me. Like, I did a cleanse that she had and all of that, but it also helped me see my body or think of my body in small ways. Um, um, that helped me take care of myself a little better. Just show myself more love and care when it comes to taking care of my body.
Mm.
Um, the second book is Atomic Habits, and that book is a book that we read in our business group. And Atomic Habits is really about stacking new habits, and I'm huge on stacking habits. Habit stacking is so important because we can get into uh doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and then realizing that our life is mundane
Yeah.
and that we haven't accomplished the things that we really wanted. So stacking new habits helps us build that foundation, doing those repetitive things that are important, but also trying new things and building from there and keep going. So atomic habits is an important one. And then my third one, come on now, I gotta hit you with the fundamentals. This is your holy book, whatever holy book is yours. So, you know, Bible, Quran, Torah, whatever holy book. What book is for the Buddhist? Whatever it is,
Yeah.
read it
Hmm.
because the principles and values uh that build understanding for character for your life are in those books, whichever one it is. They're not even that different from each other, but
Yeah.
because they teach uh the laws of the world, the laws, the principles of world, like, you know.
Yeah.
So those are the those three books.
Awesome. Awesome. And the last book I love to ask my guests, what are three pieces of advice you would give your 16-year-old self?
This was hard. I was going through it at 16. I had just lost my mother 4 years before, and I think I don't think I was in a cloud. I was down. I was depressed. I was feeling very hopeless.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I was so young, so I felt like if I could just get to adulthood, it would be easier. I'll be able to have more control over life. Life don't work like that, y'all. Y'all teenagers, we don't, we don't have control here. But because of that, the advice I would share is share your feelings, share what's happening, because you can't expect for yourself to know what's going on and know how to fix it. Share your feelings. Somebody knows how to handle it better than you do. So share what's happening. You have a right to it, and you're not wrong for
Yeah.
that. Second thing is exercise your mind. Now, because I dealt with a lot of dealing with a lot of emotions and things and I kept in and I didn't talk, I didn't have space and energy to really read a lot. So that's advice I would give to myself. After I shared my feelings, after I got it off my chest, I would have read more so that I could just build more knowledge and understanding of the life outside of myself, you know? And the third thing, which is probably the most important thing, which leads to the healthy boundaries, your intuition is your gift because we all have it. Men and women. I don't know why they always say woman's intuition, but men have it too. But your intuition is your gift. You know things. You feel things. You understand things. And don't second guess those things. Don't second guess your intuition. It is your gift. So that's the three pieces of advice I would have shared with my 16-year-old self.
That is wonderful. That's wonderful advice. And let us know, our viewers and listeners, where they can reach out to you, where they can find you. If you have any, you say you had a course coming up, so all those things. Let them know what they can expect and how they can just tap in with you and just be in your community.
Yeah. Everything that has to deal with Coach Mo and Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger, you can find on my website, aspirebiginspirebigger.com. I also have my YouTube, Aspire Big, Inspire Bigger, where I have podcast vlogs on there. You can follow my journeys. And I also have a women's group called the Vast Community. VAST is an acronym for vision building, accountability, self care, and time management, all four very important principles of creating the life that you truly desire and you deserve. So, vision building, you need to know what you want to do. You need to build a plan around it. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm really big on that. So, you can find me aspirebiginspirebigger.com, Instagram Aspire Big Inspire Bigger. It's just all of that across the board. And my women's community, you can sign up to join, and first 30 days free on me. And I do one-on-one coaching as well. And like I said, I'm building a course for young ladies, and that should be together by mid-year this year. So I'm excited about that.
Very nice, very nice. Oh my gosh, you have so much going on for you. You have I even though we only know each other for a few months, but the things that you share with me, that I see that you're going for it. You're
Yes.
out of things.
I need a nap, y'all. I need a nap, but I'm going. It's
Like
happening.
after this, I'm going to take a nap. No.
Right. I want to.
Don't we all? But
For
again,
sure.
thank you so much for being on here. And we definitely got to do a part 2 on
Absolutely.
narcissism. So if you guys are down for that, put your comments below. We'll
Mhm.
definitely keep you up to date on that, because that is a heavy topic that not just women deal with. There's also women narcissists as well. I've dealt with them too.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Very,
really gonna take a nap. The thought of that, like, oh no. Mm. Yeah.
but yeah, so definitely thank you again for coming on this platform, and just having this conversation of how we can just help navigate the young generation, the preteens, the adolescents, the 20-year-olds, even the 30-year-olds, even 40-year-olds,
Yeah, we're stuff all
and
figuring it out.
50. Yeah, I
Yeah, we're
mean,
figuring it out.
learning doesn't stop. But yes, thank you so much for being on here. And
Man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I enjoyed the talk. Super important to really talk about these things. Them healthy boundaries, man. I'm not playing with y'all ladies.
oh yeah,
Y'all don't play with yourself, okay?
yeah,
Yes,
definitely
protect
not.
your life, protect your essence, protect your life, protect yourself. It's
Hmm.
important.
Yeah, and know yourself is the other thing.
Mhm. Better know
Definitely.
yourself. Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in and listen to this latest episode on the Unbalanced Pedestal podcast. And I will see you guys soon.
Later, y'all.